Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox here to talk about the second in our series in bugging out. But first, I need this. Costa Rican blend. My wife made it in our French press this morning. All right, in the first episode of this series on bugging out, I talked about the overall concept, which boiled down into a nutshell is you got to have a place to go. No matter where you are, you have to have another place to go and a plan to get there. And then we talked about the bug out location and certain things to take into consideration when choosing one. And there were good comments from other people. And so that was that. This one, I'd like to talk about the departure. Roger, Foxtrot 3, you are cleared for departure. And I made notes this time so that we kind of keep it succinct. So you have your bug out place. We're going to work on your plan. But the first part of your plan is really, how do you know when to go? You know, better a week too soon than a second too late, right? And this isn't the type of thing that we should leave up just to our gut. We should, while we're well rested, warm and relatively dry, and drinking delicious hot coffee, this is when we should plan these things. And so you have to have I suggest, you have a series of alert criteria. Because let's face it, you are not sitting around right now, I doubt anybody is, with all your bug out stuff packed, ready to go. You've got the keys in your hand and you're just waiting for the go code, man. Right? You're going to have to take some action to get ready to actually depart. And I'm going to get into the OODA loop here somewhere in here. I wrote it down. But anyway, the bottom line is this: departure is an action. And so the whole OODA loop applies because action is the last phase, right? So you need to come up with some alert criteria. Again, things like this weird Chinese virus really starts killing a lot of people, and it's made its way into your region. It's made its way into your state. It's made its way into your county. Are you bugging out? Don't get caught by, the boiling frog thing. Or the Russians are making noise. The Russians are supposedly mobilizing their strategic rocket forces. The Russians have massed their divisions on the European border. Are you getting ready to bug out, or are you going to wait? Right? Things like that. So you got to come up with alert. You need phases of your alert. You don't go most of the time. You shouldn't have to. From right now, watching a Pastor Joe video, to, oh crap, we got to go right now. Grab the kids and let's run. As your alerts start tinging off, that should trigger action on your part. See, what you want to do is prepare early. You want to pack your transportation mode for departure early. You don't want to have to do everything in a rush and a panic. You want to be calm, cool, and collected, and the way you do that is through planning and rehearsal and things like that. So if the Russians start making noise, and a lot of us do this, and I kind of give you guys hints on what I'm doing. If there's something weird going on in the world, I usually tell you I'm going to top off my gasoline containers. Am I doing that to prepare to bug out? Sorta. Am I doing that to prepare to stay here and hunker down? Yes. But if I have to go somewhere, I'm taking my gas, right? So that I can keep pushing. And so it all works together. But I take those actions. It's not like I get caught short, hopefully, no gas or something like that. If you think, again, you're going to have to leave possibly in the next whatever time frame you put on it, you might want to start moving the heavy things, out of your bunker and into the back of your pickup truck, or out of your bunker and into the garage, staged and ready to go. You start using your alerts as phases to get things going. And the concept here that you need to grab onto is you want to pack and prepare early. Now, using this whole system that I've kind of developed. There's going to be false starts. There may be times when you pack the bug out vehicle and the trailer and everything, and you've emptied the house and you're all ready to go, and the keys are actually in the ignition, the car's warming up, and you call it off and you put everything back. Okay, that means you got more practice and you were ready to go. It's like the people with the hurricanes. It's like, oh, they always say the hurricane's going to be bad. We're not going to go anywhere. So they don't do anything. And then the hurricane comes, and in the last, 3 hours before it hits, they're like, crap, we need to go. It's a bit late to start working on that. Does that make sense? So you're getting ready. You have your phases, you have your alerts, you're watching what's going on, and this is up to you. It's not up to me. You got to figure out your own, right? But you should sit down and war game it, brainstorm it, do those things and figure out, if this happens, we should probably do something. So you don't have to figure that out in the moment. You've already thought it through. It becomes more along the lines of a drill. When this thing happens, this is what I do. Guns come out. When a police officer yells gun, all the guns are coming out, right? Things like that. So you don't have to think, gun, what's he mean? Oh, that guy has a gun. I should probably pull my gun out, right? It's a drill. So you have to do that. So you have your alerts, you have your phases that you go through of readiness to go, right? First thing is I just make sure the car's topped off, or maybe the first thing is it's a couple of weeks out. I'm going to go get the brakes fixed on the truck, something like that. But in the end, you need your triggers. You need your go code, right? Go. Get in the car and go. Get in the truck and go. Get your rucksack on and walk. And you need to know what those triggers are, and these are important. When this happens, no ifs, ands, or buts, we're out of here. Why? OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. I've done lots of videos on it. This is not an OODA loop video. But you have to make the decision before you can actually act. And in this case, the action is departure. And that decision could be hard to make under stress, which is why you develop triggers. When this happens, we go. When this happens, we launch. When, in the military, when we see missiles flying towards us, we put all our missiles on, 2-second alert or whatever to fire back until we confirm. So come up with your triggers. What are triggers to go? There's a forest fire in the next county. When it gets into the side of the mountain down the gorge from us, that's when we go. It may not ever get there, but if it gets there, we're out of here, right? That's a pretty good trigger. If it's still the hurricane's barreling down on us, if it's still predicted to be a Category 4 or bigger when it's 15 hours out, we go. Whatever. But develop those triggers now so you don't have to make these decisions, take these decisions under stress. We're talking about departure. We're talking about leaving where you are and going to your bug out location. There's a lot of ways to do that. If you have your warning, phases, your alert phases, if you have your phases of preparation going pretty good, you can start by making multiple trips. Ooh. See, I know unless you're made of money, you have things where you live now that you want at your bug out location when you get there, perhaps to stay forever. You have things at home now, unless you're a college student and don't own anything, that you can't take it all in one trip. It's just, you can't do it. So you can start making multiple trips. You're like, yeah, we're probably going to bug out to our bug out location. Okay, it's time to start moving this stuff. And you just, every day after work, you take a trip to the bug out location and drop it off. It may be exhausting. It may be 2 or 3 hours away. So you come home from work, your wife's already got everything ready to go because she's good, or your husband has got everything ready to go. You load it in the car, you drive for 3 hours, you unload it, you turn around, you drive 3 hours back, you get 4 hours sleep, and you go to work. You're getting ready. Right? So you could do multiple trips to your bug out location as the alert indicates. Maybe, ideally, and I guess I've got that at the end. We'll go to the end right now. Ideally, you have a totally ready to just turnkey operation bug out location, right? That's the best. Everything's already pre-positioned. The reality is that's not going to happen. So multiple trips when things start getting tight to your bug out location. Probably most of the time, your alerts will then downgrade, and you'll have to bring all that crap back. Okay, you learned something from it. Another option, and I was talking to a Viking in West Virginia about this, expand your mind. Don't just think, all right, everything's got to fit in my Tacoma pickup truck and my Subaru Forester to get there. Rent a U-Haul. Rent a Ryder truck. Decide now what size truck you need and rent it, because if you haven't bugged out yet, it's not chaos yet, which means they're still functioning businesses. Go rent the truck, load everything up, and take it on the weekend. Get everything set up at your bug out location and go home so you can go to work on Monday if this thing doesn't come to pass, right? So you could do it in one trip. This is where having people, I talked about that in the last video, many hands make light work. You know, we're all gonna load the 3 U-Haul trucks that we just rented. We're all gonna unload them together at the bug out location. You're all together for a big chunk of the day. If this thing escalates, you'll be ready to go. So think about that. A lot of people have trailers. I'm not talking camping trailer, I'm talking cargo trailer, hauling stuff trailer. I see a lot, at least out here in the boonies, a lot of, you know, 1 or 2 axle, basically flatbed trailers, and also a number of livestock haulers, you know, just simple 2-horse hauler kind of thing. Trailers are good to have. Once you get a trailer and learn how to use it, it becomes very useful on your homestead in your life. Now, if you're in suburbia, maybe not so much. But my point is, most people don't keep their trailer loaded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with their bug out supplies. So you're going to have an idea of what you're going to put on the trailer and how you're going to do that. And we'll talk about load plans in another video. But trailers are a good thing to have. I've told the story here before. I knew somebody in Northern Virginia who had a toy hauler trailer, like a small U-Haul type trailer, and they put shelves in it and they kept all their extra food in there. It was like their pantry. Well, they actually used it like a pantry, and they had a kitchen door that came out into their driveway. The driveway went all the way to the backyard, and the kitchen door came out on the side of the house. And they parked their trailer right there. And so they would come out the kitchen door, open up the trailer, get a can of green beans or something, and go back in the house. Well, then they decided, you know, what a pain in the neck when it's weather like this. So they built a little addition on their house, if you will. They did it themselves, around that with a roof and walls and stuff, with just the trailer tongue sticking out, pointing up the driveway, and then they walled around it and everything. And that part of the wall was really weak. And so all they had to do, their plan was, because then they started putting all their food in, like they had some candle lantern type stuff, you know, the oil lamps and stuff stored in there. It was their bug out trailer that also worked as a functioning pantry. And if they ever had to go, they would just hook that thing up to their whatever they had. I think they had a Suburban, and I just pull it right through the little thin flimsy wall, and away they go, and all their food's already packed. Pretty cool idea. So they had a purpose-built trailer. But think about trailers. You can move a lot of stuff with a trailer. Another thing to think about is this. When you bug out, when you depart, you should take all of your vehicles. As many vehicles as you have drivers for. And, you know, if your 15-year-old daughter is just learning how to drive, she should be driving one of the vehicles. Put her in the middle, and let's go. Because, 1, you can carry a lot more stuff. 2, stuff happens. One of your vehicles could break down. Wouldn't it be nice to then have another one to pile the important stuff into? And we'll get into bump plans, which is where you pre-decide what you're going to move when you have to move. You know, one vehicle is in op. What do we need out of this vehicle, and what are we going to remove from this other vehicle to make room? Because you're going to be maxed out, right? Unless you're doing the multiple trip thing. If you're like, this is a one and done, we're out of here, we're going, your vehicles are going to be maxed out with stuff. So you have to decide what goes, what stays, what's important. So take all your vehicles. This is kind of where, and I will get into bump plans and stuff in another video, but it's important to have layers in your bug out plan. You know, we all talk about a lot, EDC, everyday carry. You know, I carry a gun, a reload, a flashlight, a knife, a lighter. These are the things that I can deal with problems out there or right here if I have to, without carrying, you know, kitted out like Joe Commando. I can kind of look, people actually look like this around here. I can look kind of normal. So you've got your EDC. Well, above that, what do you have? Your bug out bag. right? And what do you have above that? Your full loadout of your vehicle and that kind of thing. Maybe the bicycles that you have on the back. My point is this: you need to be able to flow from one to another pretty quickly. You don't want to have your bug out bag buried under 5-gallon cans that you have to unload onto the road because your car's not working anymore and we have to walk. You want to be able to open up a door, grab your bug out bag, and go. Same thing with the bikes. You want to be able to grab the bike, put it on the ground, and let's go, right? So your layers have to work. You have to be able to access your layers. And then I guess the final thing for departure, to ease your departure, and again, we've talked about you have to have in your mind and more ideally written down on paper, what are your alert levels? What are the actions? That's a thing I didn't say. Each alert level should have actions associated with it. When I see this, I do this. When I see this, I do this. When I see this, we do this. And then that flows into triggers. When this happens, we go. Or if this happens, we go. Or if this happens, we go. Right? So you need to have that. But ideally, the best thing is to have everything pre-positioned. So that all I have to do is go. I can just walk in. I can walk right here. Go to my bug out location. And everything's okay. Most people can't do that because of money. And besides that, you don't need one bug out location. You need 3, right? Pace. So you can't really do that. Let's be real. But by seeing what's coming ahead of time, by taking action ahead of time, by starting to move, if you can, your stuff to your location early, you're kind of pre-positioning it late. And that'll help you. But worst case, you have to be able to show up naked. Naked and alone, naked and afraid. What's that survival show that's just ridiculous? Whatever. You have to be able to show up with nothing at your place and survive. So to that degree, you are going to have to pre-position some stuff at your bug out location. You know, a complete set of weather appropriate, climate appropriate clothing, you know, basic food and water things, you know, think about that. That doesn't have to be expensive. You get all that at Goodwill. All right. I'm interested in your comments again. Let's keep this going. Some of us are pretty advanced in this thinking, and I don't have all the answers. Some of you all have good ideas. Put them in there. We're continuing the series as we go. All right. I'll see you out there.